CNN contributes to Donald Trump's campaign.
They always do.
Man.
They have a show every day that does.
Commie wants your straws. Commie Harris.
Is
Harris.
Is that it?
That's not
Is
all.
all she wants?
Biden mumble raps.
Heaven.
And the Babylon Bees got some real news. They're competing with CNN now.
Oh!
A little CNN competition coming up, huh? Hey, y'all, welcome to Cross Politics. Pastor Toby Chalk Knox, the Water Boy. It's good to be with you guys on a good Sabbath, huh?
What?
Ending your Sabbath with us right now.
I just want to say, everybody who's watching this show instead of watching football, man, salute to you.
What's wrong with you people?
Could you put the scores in the notes so I can follow along?
Just give us some updates while we're going.
All our club members for August just got their pints shipped out this last week. Yep. So sorry. I want to ship them out at the end of every month, and there's a little delay because I'm working on
Are we going to get something like this too?
I would love to get something like that too. It takes time.
Hey guys, did you hear the hot new salad that's sweeping the nation? Actually, just a big bowl of croutons. It's true. Sure, I read it on the internet.
That's all
I like my salad.
Parents fulfill duty to bring kids up in the Lord by dropping them off at youth group for an hour every week.
Ooh.
I thought you were going to say public school.
That kind of hurts.
I know.
CNN 7-hour climate change town hall loses in ratings to Baby Shark being played 185 times in a row.
That's not true? Is that true?
Knox believes it.
Snopes rates Biden's claim that 2 + 2 = 5 as mostly true.
Oh, man.
This is a postmodern world. I actually think those are not jokes.
We got Kyle Mann coming on the show in a little bit. Kyle Mann, one of the, what's his, in charge.
He's the chief funny officer or chief serrated officer.
Something from Babylon B coming on a little bit, so stay tuned. Also, in third segment, we are going to start a new thing. Mm-hmm. We're going to try.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we can remember.
Oh, I forgot my book.
Hold us accountable.
Hold us accountable. Third segment. We want to start doing book recommendations.
Yes.
On the show. So some of you have reached out and be like, hey, what do I read? What are you guys reading?
Your Bible.
And
every week.
Yes, mostly the Bible. Speaking of which, a new round of the Bible reading challenge is starting.
Oh, can I tell you
on
I
Monday.
appreciate this,
On
guys.
Monday.
Bible reading challenge.
Man.
I don't have.
Find it. It's at christkirk.com, Bible reading challenge. Thousands, tens of thousands of people all over the world are reading the Bible together.
I hope more.
In this particular challenge.
Well, praise God for that.
Yeah, millions are actually reading their Bibles. But hey, if
we
you
hope.
need some encouragement, anyways, do that.
Get in the word.
Bible reading challenge.
Keep the feast.
Keep the feast.
Yes.
Also, though, we're going to start recommending some other readings, so stay tuned for third segment. Also, this show is brought to you by our good friends at Classical Conversations. Classical Conversations believes that parents are the best teachers for their children. They agree with God. It says that in the Bible, actually. Classical Conversations is committed to helping families. I just spit on my mic. There we go.
I clean that up
every week. Really, Toby?
Yeah,
every week.
No one can see that.
There was no one can see that right there. It was bothering me.
Yeah, bothering me.
They help families homeschool successfully through high school. Their program offers community, accountability, and support, rich downloadable resources, tried and trusted learning framework with recommended assignments, trained parent tutors. You say, I've never done this before. I don't know how to teach 5th grade science. They have tutors ready for you. Share the love of learning through a Christian worldview and fellowship with other families. Classical Conversations families thrive using 3 keys to a great education: classical, Christian, and community.
That's awesome. We got a special show with Robert Borton's coming up in November. He's flying out to come into the studio.
I like that guy, man.
Yeah, so you guys
play rugby.
Yeah, I know.
I like it when rugby players run homeschooling companies.
Ain't that the truth?
I just
say that.
I just trust that more.
That's right.
Seriously do.
But explain why though.
Because they're grounded. Like you have to know the real world.
That's right.
Not afraid to take or give a hit.
People push.
It's masculine. I mean, and this is seriously one of the things that homeschoolers need to watch out for. I've actually pointed this out. I'm just going to say it about homeschooling ads.
Do it.
I don't like all those homeschooling ads. Always picturing the mom.
Message.
Where's the dad?
Yeah.
Come on now.
That's right.
And I get it. I know. Mom's at home. Mom's doing a lot of the teaching. I get it. And she's helping a lot. I mean, I get it. So I don't mind some. But if we're going to actually do the damage we need to do to secular, unbelieving pagan culture, men got to lead.
Yeah,
Men
that's right.
are the headmasters of these schools.
Yeah.
And we need to be calling men, fathers, husbands. This is your deal, right? Paul said, what did he say? Fathers, bring your children up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Now, is he saying mothers have nothing to do with it? No.
Well, I was in the NLT version of that.
The NLT version?
Parents.
If your Bible says parents, throw it away. Throw it away. Right now, throw it away. Okay. That's all I got to say. That's it. You're not trying to get a sermon
We're getting started. We're getting started already.
One last thing. Is that a certified cross-politic mug that you're pouring from?
Yeah, it says, what are you talking about? This?
Yes.
This is
get this man a sticker.
This is the holy green bullet.
It's not on the list of certified mugs.
Toby's already on fire today.
It's the holy green
bullet. If you can't buy it from the store, it's not certified.
Are you ready? Are you ready for me to move on?
Are you ready?
Or you got one?
Ready?
You said you have one more thing. Are you ready for me to move on?
Are you
He was just mad.
Are we ready for news?
Here, watch. I'm gonna put it right there.
That's it. Oh, I see.
Watch that.
That's making him so mad. All right, so I was sort of joking, but not really, about CNN making a massive contribution
I'm gonna
to
check Snopes.
Trump's re-election campaign.
Yeah.
But this last week, they did 7 hours on CNN with individual Democratic presidential candidates on climate change.
Which is why they lost to Baby Shark being played 185 times in a row.
That's why I believe that. I thought that was real because 7 hours.
That's right.
Like, it's still on.
That's right.
Like, they're still talking to themselves.
We got a couple clips from, and this is, of course, is all surrounded by the Hunger Games 2020 and the socialism.
It is time to walk away.
Survival of the fittest.
Of the past and towards something totally different.
People are lining up for food. That's a good thing.
I'm a hugger, I'm a kisser, and I'm a little bit of a sniffer.
Raising the minimum wage does not hurt business, it grows business.
So I'm
proud of you guys.
I am Spartacus.
Now
that's
more
so good.
questions for Senator Kamala Harris. So let's go straight to an audience question now. Carolyn Corson is a lawyer from New York, Senator. She has a question about the impact of certain foods on the environment. Just to give some context here, the United Nations says that livestock cattle, contribute 14.5% of all human-produced greenhouse gases, which is an incredible number. Caroline, go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Climate change has been linked to agriculture and the overconsumption of red meat and also the overproduction of crops. Certain countries have changed their dietary guidelines to reduce the consumption of red meat in light of the impact of the climate change.
Yeah.
If elected, will you be supporting change in dietary guidelines? And then how will you plan on implementing the changes so that people effectively change their diets?
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Carol, for your work on the question. There's
good etiquette.
I think of the point that you're raising in a broader context, which is that as a nation, we actually have to have a real priority at the highest level of government around what we eat and in terms of healthy eating, because we have a problem in America. And we can talk about all that we are now, the subject of this conversation. We can talk about the amount of sugar in everything. We could talk about soda. We could go on and on.
Yes,
so
you
the
could.
answer is yes. But I'll also say this. The balance that we have to strike here, frankly, is about what government can and should do around creating incentives and then banning certain behaviors. I mean, just to be very honest with you, I love cheeseburgers from time to time. Right? I mean, I just do. And I think that
Don't take my cheeseburger.
but there has to be also what we do in terms of creating incentives that we will eat in a healthy way, that we will encourage moderation, and that we will be educated about the effect of our eating habits on our environment. And we have to do a much better job of that, and the government has to do a much better job of that.
I can't. What are those incentives called?
Moderation means
Bread lines.
only 2 donuts because you got 2 hands.
I'm going to eat all these donuts.
How did just
Go
because
end
of
the show.
that? How did we get to the point where the president or presidential candidates are talking about how many burgers you should eat?
You know what?
You know?
I'm going to say this.
That was ridiculous.
My mouth is right now. What you need to do is grab something that tastes good and that you love and that you enjoy.
It's
and just
Sunday night.
Eat it
To the glory of
to
God.
the glory of God.
Yeah.
And enjoy the Sabbath because
Right.
these people crazy.
Go make some
And
mac
you
and
don't know-
cheese, bacon, and put bacon in it.
And you don't know if she win if you're gonna be able to eat it again. So what you need to do is enjoy some right now, the glory of God.
Well, hang on. She's not done yet.
Oh, what?
Leaders have to lead, and
Plastic
we can
straws
adapt.
are a big thing now.
Yeah.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should. Yes. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest. It's really difficult to drink out of a paper straw when if you're just, like, if you don't gulp it down immediately, it starts to bend.
Yes.
And then, the little thing catches it. And then, so we got to kind of perfect that one a little bit.
Do you see anybody laughing in there?
So you ban it?
Nobody's laughing.
Everyone's dead silent. They're serious.
It's
They're
a
like,
process, right? You don't just
you ate a cheeseburger?
do it. Innovation is a process, but
Innovation's a process. I hate those cardboard straws. There's a restaurant in town, and they bring out your cup with a cardboard straw in it. And I said, every time I go in there, I was like, will you please bring me a plastic straw? And they're like, okay. I go back, get me a plastic straw and everything. What's funny about this, though, also, is they're saying that.
Nothing's funny about this.
Nothing.
Ain't nothing funny
They're
about this.
They're saying that the cardboard straws are somehow more environmental friendly. But cardboard straws come from trees, and so they got to cut down trees to get cardboard straws.
Did you think about the rainforest?
Yeah. And trees are help clean the environment up with the air and bring more air quality.
This is
through
just
their process.
They did 7 hours of this?
all
7 hours of this.
day long.
So, who tweeted this, Toby? Someone tweeted this and basically summarized this town hall saying, they're going to take away your red meat. That's Pinko Pete and Connie Harris said that.
Straws back there.
They're going to ban your SUVs and trucks.
Yep.
They're going to force you to drive electric cars. They're going to tax you for spewing carbon emission. They're going to ban plastic straws, commie. Say yes to abortion for population control. We'll get there. We got that clip coming. End all coal jobs. Eliminate GDP and ban fracking.
Okay.
That's the summary of
and here's the thing
town hall.
Here's the thing you need to hear with all of this. This is the new like Puritanism.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's new Levitical law.
I mean, the real Puritans, of course, actually loved life and were party animals, Christian party animals.
They came to the U.S.
The real
they planted
Puritans,
churches.
That's
They
not the
started
narrative
schools.
people
And they
like
opened
to
up
put about
pubs.
Right, but the old narrative of the Puritans, being these, prudes and cranks and fussers.
Yeah.
You got 7 hours
Yeah.
of don't touch that, don't eat that, don't do that, don't do that,
Not
don't
good.
do that,
Not
don't
good.
do that.
Not good.
Like these are like old school marks.
No cheeseburgers.
Right.
No plastic straws.
Right. No smoking, no drinking, no doing anything.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it is.
Get
Taste
off my
not,
lawn.
touch not.
Right. It's taste not, touch not, and it's a new form of godliness and holiness. And that's why I said she's confessing her sins. When she says, well, sometimes I like eat cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
Well,
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But not too much.
Not too much. She did
Right?
that
We
twice.
still got a problem, right?
Yeah.
But this is a religion, and this is the thing. When you substitute anything for God, God just gives us 10 rules. And as soon as you throw them out the window, you get thousands and thousands in their place.
That's right.
Right? And so when people say, I don't know, theocracy, God's law, it just seems so intense and mean. You mean like somebody's like taking away your straws and you're like, but God said that sodomy was an abomination.
Right.
Wait,
Yeah.
well, what do you want?
Gnats and camels?
Yeah, what do you want?
Yeah.
Do you actually want freedom or not?
Right.
They don't know what freedom looks like
No,
because
they
they're
don't.
blind.
So Breadline Bernie wants to set up a line for having children.
Good evening. Human population growth has more than doubled in the past 50 years.
That's a good thing.
The planet cannot sustain this growth. I realize this is a poisonous topic for politicians, but it's crucial to face. Empowering women and educating everyone on the need to curb population growth seems a reasonable campaign to enact. Would you be courageous enough to discuss this issue and make it a key feature of a plan to address climate catastrophe?
Well, Martha, the answer is yes. And the answer has everything to do with the fact that women in the United States of America, by the way, have a right to control their own bodies and make reproductive decisions.
Kiss the altar.
And the Mexico City Agreement, which denies American aid to those organizations around the world that allow women to have abortions or even get involved in birth control, to me is totally absurd. So I think, especially in poor countries around the world, where women,
especially where they're brown and black,
have large numbers of babies,
that's for real,
and where they can have the opportunity through birth control to control the number of kids they have. Something I very, very strongly
control.
Yeah, and the fact that the mainstream media is not flipping out over that kind of colonization.
Insanity.
Yeah.
Right? Imperialism and colonization.
Yeah.
He is implying, not even implying, he's just saying straight up, third world countries don't know how to take care of themselves. Third world women don't know how to take care of themselves.
It seems like we can find white supremacy in all the places that it's not. Instead of where it's
real.
That right there should have been Black Lives Matter. Where are the people marching here? Where are the people throwing paint here? Where's all the people upset about this? You're talking about killing black and brown people and making that is
Yeah. Us old white guys in America are going to make sure you have the chemicals so you can kill your babies. So you can not thrive. I mean, and the thing is the population control thing is a complete myth. I mean, the population problem.
Absolutely.
It's a complete
It's
myth.
a complete myth.
I shared this on Twitter this last week. Somebody, God bless them, did this little visual where they took a cubic, they created this blue cubic building, side of 1.07, I think that's kilometers, that could hold all 7.3 billion humans on the planet. It would be the world's tallest building. And you have a couple of buildings, the Empire State Building added for reference. So it'd be this, gigantic, but the point being, we actually are not taking up that much space. Now, granted, we wouldn't actually want to live in a building like that. It would be a pretty tight space. But the thing is you could fit all 7.3 billion humans on the planet in a cubic building in New York City. That's where this is, in the middle of New York City. That's everybody on the planet right now. We are not close to doing what God has actually commanded us to do, which is fill the planet.
This goes to the point.
Right.
What they're after is sustainability, which is actually what doesn't get you blessed. That's what gets you in trouble.
But it's not even sustainability.
Well, that's what they're saying that it is. But that's not what we're called to even. No. We're actually called to be fruitful and multiply. To take dominion. Having kids is what actually creates the environment that we need, that we're trying to
people
live in.
Are the most valuable resource in the world.
And for the earth.
That's what I mean. For the earth, for the planet. For business success, for agricultural success.
But also, notice the optics that are going on here. When Bernie's talking about population control and talking about controlling other populations, who's the leader? Bernie.
White guy.
Who's the power?
An old white guy.
Right. But when you're sitting here talking about other populations and how they should be controlling their own growth, you're claiming supremacy. That's what you're doing.
Right.
And that's
absolutely.
wicked.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's white supremacy. And it's not being called out. It's imperialism. It's absolutely. It's what's the word? There's another word. Paternalism. That's another one. It's paternalistic. I will be your father. Right? That's where it comes from. But people are always saying that about Western culture, but only when it has to do with Christianity.
That's right.
If Christians want to go preach the gospel to these other cultures and nations, people will be like, "Oh, that's paternalistic. You think what's best for them." And Bernie stands up and says, "Let's get them birth control, and let's get them abortifacients, and let's get them abortions." And everybody's like, "Yeah, let's do that. Let's let them kill their babies."
Also notice both Kami and when she was asked a question, and then Breadline Bernie when he's asked a question, they're like, the answer to that is yes.
If it gets your vote. You guys remember when we had Dr. Gordon Wilson on the show a couple years back? If you haven't listened to that interview, there's 2 parts to it on YouTube and on the podcast. You need to go listen to it because now listen to all this stuff that's happening, especially with this town hall. I was thinking about the idea that the climate change issue has become a catch-all for everything. It's not just about climate change. It's about your whole life. It's about the children that you have. It's about the food that you eat. It's about the house that you buy. It's about the car that you drive. It's holistic. It's not just staying in the area of climate change. And one of the things that they are seeing
is the brilliance of it.
That's exactly right. It's catching everything. And that's why it takes 7 hours to talk about climate change because we got to talk about your whole life. And so, but one of the things that Dr. Wilson brought up was that, talking about climate change, he made a few caveats about this, like, okay, there might be something happening. We need to know if we're the cause of it. And then if we can fix it. It's a few things. But don't forget that God does judge his people environmentally. And what he does in that process is it's not that your carbon footprint is too big. It's that your sin is before him and it stinks. And so what he does, he ends up judging your land. And he brought up Hosea 4 was, I think Hosea 4, which I happen to have right here.
Did you prepare for this?
I was listening to the good doctor.
Oh, shame on you.
If you have your Bibles, just go ahead and turn to Hosea chapter 4. Here it says here. Thank you very much, brother. Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord brings a charge against the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth or mercy or knowledge of the God in the land. By swearing and lying, killing and stealing, and committing adultery, they break all restraints. With bloodshed upon bloodshed, therefore the land will mourn, and everyone who dwells there will waste away. Listen to this, this is important. With the beast of the field and the birds of the air, even the fish of the sea will be taken away.
Yeah.
We don't need a smaller carbon footprint. We need to break our knees to God and ask him to forgive us for our sins.
Well, Paul says basically the same thing in Romans 8 when he says that the creation itself groans in eager expectation for the redemption of the sons of God.
Yes.
Right. Creation itself groans under the weight of our sin, of our faithlessness, and our lack of obedience and faith in God and his ways, which has an environmental impact.
That's right.
It's right. You know, faithful men and women who repent of their sins and turn to Christ become fruitful people.
Yeah.
They fill the earth with good things. They learn to steward God's creation faithfully and to use it well.
Yeah.
But what we do is when God leans on us and he puts his hand heavy upon us, we turn to false gods.
Yeah.
We turn to idols.
Right. That's exactly right.
The idol of choice, the idol of the state.
Keep reading in Hosea. Your adulterous self. That's the whole point of Hosea.
Which just makes it worse.
Amen.
Just makes it worse.
And during a break,
you're just gonna be done like
we have Kyle Mann coming up next from the Babylon Bee.
All right.
Kyle Mann next on Cross Politics. We can save it for the third segment.
Save it. Classical Conversations supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview in fellowship with other families. We provide a classical, Christ-centered curriculum, local, like-minded communities across the United States and in several countries, and we train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. For more information and to get connected, please visit our website at classicalconversations.com. Classical, Christian, get connected, get community. I was going to do that too. Yeah. You started getting me do that. I was going to do that too.
I was going to yell like Gabe.
I was going to say, how come no one wants to do the cowboy?
No, we just want to do doom, 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 doom.
It's a great line.
Hey, welcome back to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. This segment is brought to you by those donuts in the middle of the table,
which we haven't touched yet.
Yeah, they smell really, really good, and
they're week-old donuts.
Chocolate Knox just put them there.
They're days. They're just a day.
Day old. I don't know. Hey, with us on the line, we are very grateful to have Mr. Kyle Mann. Kyle, you may know him because he was created in an orc spawning pit beneath the Tower of Orthanc near the end of the Third Age.
Did you Snoke check that?
I just read what it says.
Who wrote that?
I don't know. Saruman, it goes on. The many-colored drew upon all his dark powers to imbue Kyle with the ability to write satire of semi-acceptable quality from time to time and also pillage many small villages in Gondor. Kyle oversees and approves all the content posted to the Babylon Bee site and writes a good bit of it himself. Kyle is also the author of How to Be a Perfect Christian, your comprehensive guide to flawless spiritual living.
Must have a lot of empty pages in that.
And we were just talking to Kyle before we started recording. His side gig is also that he runs Snopes.
Feeding the machine.
The Babylon Bee's invested in Snopes.
Kyle, thanks for joining us on Cross Politic.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. So why is the Babylon Bee continually violating God's law by breaking the 11th commandment?
That's what we just really feel like God is calling us to do that. He's putting it on our hearts.
Put it on your hearts.
There's like there's a burning in the bosom.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
I'm feeling that, brother. Where do I send my offerings to? It's amazing. You know, you guys have been around. I've been watching you guys grow over the years. Man, how were you there at the beginning, Kyle, with Babylon Bee?
Yeah, Adam Ford founded the site. He ran like a reformed webcomic.
Yep.
And he founded it, and then I just started like emailing him like crazy all these articles, and started writing for him on the first day it launched back in March 2016.
Yeah, so I've been watching you guys for a long time grow. Did you guys ever think that you would be at this point when you started out?
No, absolutely not. I mean, you know, Adam was kind of thinking it was going to be a side gig to his comic. You know, he kind of figured it was another way to add some cultural commentary, some political commentary, some current event commentary from a Christian perspective, and didn't really think it was going to be something. You know, it was one of those things where overnight it became his full time job. You know, and the webcomic became a side deal.
Wow, that's incredible.
So has Snopes been a helpful accountability partner?
Yeah, they're kind of one of those annoying accountability partners. You know, that's always calling you in the middle of the night, and yeah, that's kind of how they've been for us. But yeah, they're you know, they do a good job though. You know, keeping us accountable and making sure that we don't post too much fake news.
Yeah, too much fake news.
Before you got on the line, I was reading headlines from Babylon Bee, and Chocolate Knox was sitting here being like, "But that's true. That's true, right?" And I'm like, Nope, not that one.
He was just reading headlines. I'm like, oh, wow, that's messed up.
It's making him mad.
But I totally believed it. I didn't think, oh, that's a joke. Like,
right. So does Snopes have a point?
Do they have a point with when they fact check us?
Yeah.
Well, it seems like they've got, I don't know. They really come off like this, like a guy who doesn't get a joke at a party.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Actually, a priest, a rabbi, and a minister did not walk into a bar together. You know, that's false.
Right.
That's kind of that's kind of how they come off.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, their whole thing is when they started out fact checking like internet hoaxes, like weird emails your grandma would forward you, and stuff.
Right?
and then you know, I don't know. Now they're trying to apply that system to like checking satire and jokes, and I don't know. It's really weird.
Now, in the recent,
it doesn't seem to work.
In the recent, Snopes recently fact checked you, and like the New York Times picked it up. What happened? What happened all there?
Yeah, they fact checked us, and that's the thing is they fact checked us, and we never really cared because it kind of made sense. Like obviously, there's a lot of people out there that don't have a satire gene. You know, they don't understand it. They just don't get it.
It's not true.
And, you know, that's not, and that's not our audience. But
yeah,
but when you see that get shared, you know, it gets shared on Facebook, and then your grandma sees it, and she's like, "What? You know, this can't be true." And she's like all mad about it. Yeah. And that's where it comes from, is that people then go send that to Snopes. But recently, they fact checked us, and the fact check took on this like more insidious tone, like they were saying that we're intentionally deceiving people, and that they called our site a ruse.
Yeah.
You know, and they filed us under junk news. You know, so it was this whole thing where all of a sudden it went from, oh yeah, this is just a joke, to like we are spreading fake news on purpose.
So, you know, I read an article. One of the headlines I read to Chalk just a minute ago was Netflix under fire for including straight character in new show.
That's not a joke. That's real, right? Kyle, that's real, right?
But that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, so obviously the headline itself is not factually true, but you are saying something very true.
Yeah, that's what satire. That's why people get confused, because satire is a commentary on the truth,
right?
And you do that by you know, creating this fictional narrative, this fictional world, and then we act like we're news reporters in this upside down world, you know, and we're reporting on it, and people see a reflection of what's actually going on now, you know. That's what satire is. It's like adjacent to truth.
Right.
So why should Christians care about this? Why should Christians want to use satire?
Yeah, I mean, well, we see it throughout the Bible. You know, we see the prophets using satire. We see Jesus using satire and sarcasm and contrast and humor to communicate truth. You know, some of the absurdities in Jesus' parables clearly, satire. Clearly, because what satire is it's exaggerating the truth, so you can see yourself in that a little bit. And Jesus did that a lot. I think it's really important to have someone who's able to step back and look at what we're doing in Christian culture and look at what we're doing in the church and say, hey, not necessarily judging you for it, but saying, hey, let me hold up this funhouse mirror and show you how you look.
Right.
So it seems like obviously just like all good things, you could get it by the wrong end. You could say, I want to be a man, and then you end up being this, weird macho, oppressor. WWF is your idea of masculinity. In a similar way, you could get a hold of something like sarcasm, and then you could actually become a real jerk. And so if you're doing this right, if we're imitating Jesus and the prophets and the apostles right, it should actually make us more godly, more holy, and people want to actually be around us. So you've been involved with this for a while. I mean, how have you seen this affect you, your personal life, your family life? Is this making you a more godly man?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I was actually in an entirely different industry when I started doing this, and I was just doing this on the side. And then I was able to quit and do it full time. So now I do, I wake up and I roll down to my garage and start writing jokes. So I think overall being able to look at things like the political systems of our world and say, these things are not ultimate. These things are not eternal.
Yeah.
And being able to write jokes that make our kings, and our rulers look silly. I mean, I love it. I love being able to not give any power to those things and give any credit to those things. I do think you need to, if you're writing satire, you do need to set up kind of limits or boundaries, right? Like, there are things that are sacred, and I think it's dangerous if we start writing satire that becomes cynical, or if I'm looking at every situation and saying, how can I write a joke about this? I don't know. I think satire is a tool, right?
Yeah,
and it's used to separate what's true from what's not, what's eternal from what's not eternal. And so the problem with writing satire from a position that doesn't have anything that's sacred is you just become cynical. And so that's what we try to avoid.
Well, and particularly like satire can be used in war effectively, like cultural battles. And so apply that to your personal life. Satire can also be used in a way to fight your own sin, make fun of your own sin, make your sin look silly.
I like how he said, not giving power.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the principle. It's like when you're able to laugh at evil in a certain way, you're actually defanging it.
Right.
You're actually, taking away its power and recognizing at a fundamental level that Jesus is Lord.
Right.
Kyle, this isn't a question. This is just, you can jump in here anywhere you want to. It's just an observation. I've always appreciated you guys because I feel like comedy and satire are kind of one of the last few prophets that people don't necessarily cancel, right? Like they don't cancel them out yet. They still have ability to speak and get a pass. But it's under attack.
Yeah,
and one of the places you start to see it, I don't know if you've seen, I don't want to challenge your Christian card, so you don't have to acknowledge us, Kyle. I hadn't seen it yet, but I heard that Dave Chappelle had a comedy thing recently on Netflix, and some of the things that I seen popping up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, he started going.
You watched it on VidAngel?
I didn't. Actually, no.
You wouldn't get any jokes on VidAngel.
I wasn't giving the Mormons my money. But one of the things that he went after was the pro-choice movement.
Yeah.
And he did it in such a way that really, and I just saw the tweet of it, honestly, and I
watched the whole show. I can't recommend it, but you got to watch it.
And basically what he said was, listen, if I can go and kill my child, don't be mad at me if I actually want to be a bum dad.
And I don't want to pay for it.
If I don't want to pay for him,
he said,
when
my money, my choice.
My money, my choice. And the way and Dave Chappelle isn't a Christian.
Right.
He's not trying to proclaim Jesus Christ, but he was able to hit right at a nerve where people are totally fine with you having an abortion in that circle.
Yeah.
But then they're not happy with you being a bum dad.
Right.
And that is like the cardinal sin. You don't take care of your kids.
Yep.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
But you can kill them, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, comedy has been comedians have been the high priests of the left for a long time. And, the right has been used to being the butt of the joke. And so that special was hilarious because I don't know if you saw that clip where he started making fun of cancel culture. And he was doing this impression and he says, "Who am I?" And everybody goes, "Trump, you're Trump." And he's like, "No, I'm you. I'm you guys trying to cancel comedians."
Yes.
And it was so funny because they just expected it to reaffirm their position. But he was attacking them. So comedy really can cut to that. And yeah, it's just weird that comedy has become this like rally. Like you expect a comedian to affirm everything you believe. Why
is it? I mean, you're exactly right. Why is it though that comedy and satire and humor has been the priesthood of the left? And why is it that Christians so often expect to be the butt of the jokes? Why are we so bad at humor?
Well, because we were so serious for so long. And, obviously we're serious because we believe in like the gospel. We believe in things that are serious.
Right.
We believe that in things that do have eternal consequences. But the problem is that then we take our cultural trappings and we start mixing that in with the gospel. And then all of a sudden we're dead serious about, wearing a suit on Sunday or something. That becomes part of the gospel to us. And so it's really easy to make fun of the guy who's sitting there with his arms crossed saying that's not funny,
Yeah.
And that's why the left has been such an easy target recently because now they're the ones who are these
They're the prudes.
Crazy religious zealots.
Yeah, they're the prudes now.
Yeah, and so they're easy to make fun of, and they don't like it.
Yeah,
I think connected to that too is that Christians have fallen into the trap of just wanting to be nice. They think a good testimony to the world is being kind and being nice,
never offending anybody.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the realm of Christian comedy. Is I'm going to make a toothless joke about worship leaders or something, but I won't talk about abortion.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that is absolutely right. So are you guys going to endorse a current Democratic presidential candidate during the primaries?
Yeah, Thanos.
Oh,
who?
Thanos. I like that.
That was quick.
He was ready.
He already knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I was wondering, when you guys are doing what you're doing, so right now in the pro-life movement, people are trying to make people not want to swallow the reductio, so they set things up. So like, hey, there's a clip about the Eagles. Would you
Prager, you did this.
Yeah, Prager, you did that. Where it's like, hey,
we're gonna play that
let's save
segment.
Eagles. Let's save Eagles, right?
Yeah.
So that's coming up. And then when they said, hey, do you want to save babies? They say, no, absolutely not. And and the shocking thing is that people are swallowing the reductio. And so when you guys are doing your comedy, you're trying to get people to see, trying to get people to see that they are not getting what's going on. What do you do when people swallow the reductio?
You can see that a lot. We'll do a joke that'll point out hypocrisy, and we'll get the left riled up or the right riled up, and they'll comment, yes, this is exactly what I believe, without any irony.
Or like,
and
so
okay, well.
Yeah.
So you try to make it as crazy and exaggerated as possible, so it's such a caricature that no one could possibly believe it. And still, there are people who
somebody'd be like, "That's me."
Yeah, but what do you do with that? Because that like takes the comedy out of it.
Well, and how can you make a point?
Well, you want
if
somebody
everyone's
to say,
swallowing the reductio, you can't make a point anymore.
You want them to say, "Oh man, that's actually good. I didn't think about that. You got me on that."
Yeah.
But when they swallow the reductio, you almost feel like, do I just keep jabbing at it until you submit?
Yeah, well, we found that most people, will be able to chuckle, and then they reflect on it a little bit and go, okay, yeah, I see some of that hypocrisy, but they're able to justify it in some way. So I think the bulk of people get, okay, there's a little bit of hypocrisy. Even when I read satire like from The Onion that's making fun of Christians, or it's making fun of whatever my position is on something.
Sure.
It's like I'm able to laugh at it and go, oh yeah, there is a little bit of hypocrisy there. How can I adjust my beliefs to account for that, or is it something where I need to adjust, how I'm living?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen anybody become a Christian because of your work?
I don't know. We get a lot of emails from people. What we mostly get is people saying either that they're Christians who have been very depressed, they're anxious, or just have been so discouraged by what's going on in the political landscape, and they appreciate being able to laugh. So I think that's the majority of what we do is encouragement for some people.
Yeah. One of the last things I just wanted to point out, and I think it's important not to miss, because I think not only is it important to laugh, but we want to be building Christian culture, not just running from our enemies. Yeah. And so often Christians have this defeatist mentality, and we do this in business, we do this in education, we do this in politics, we do this across the board frequently, because frequently we are having our lunches handed to us. But one of the success stories with the Babylon Bee is just how successful you guys have been as a business. I mean, and as a cultural institution. I mean, when you have New York Times and Snopes, having these public
reporting on you guys,
reporting on it. I mean, this is a very, very significant cultural pillar,
and praise God for that.
And so, I guess last question would be, how do you encourage Christians to be excellent in their callings and in their businesses? You guys are striving for excellence in political and cultural commentary and satire, and God's blessed it. What's your word to people who are in, software engineering and education and other lines of work? What's your encouragement to them?
I mean, I was there. I was in the construction industry in this crazy high-paced, fast-paced industry for 12 years, and I was just beating my head against the desk every day because it was so hard. And there was so much stress, but I was very successful at what I was doing, and I think it was literally just every morning going, God, let me do this not for my crazy boss, but let me do this for your glory. And I know that sounds busy, but I mean, for me, that was the only way I got through in my discouraging, depressing, negative workplace. And it's the same thing I do now. I mean, it's just God, I know our site looks like it's super planned out, but it's I wake up in the morning and go, God, give me a funny joke to tell today.
Yeah.
I don't have any ideas, that's basically what we do. And so I don't have these lofty ambitions like our site is amazing or our site's going to impact culture. It's just one joke at a time. Let me communicate truth.
Faithfulness.
That's great.
Really
faithful in the little things.
Yep.
And
God will give you much.
And recognizing too that, I mean, even when you God gives you a level or measure of success, there's still a grind.
Yeah, absolutely. And even more so.
And maybe the weight's even heavier. And so you learn to cry out to God for the faithfulness to grind that out faithfully.
Yeah. Kyle Mann from the Babylon Bee. What's the website if we want to read some of those wonderful satire jokes that you have there?
BabylonBee.com.
That's it. That's just that simple.
There you go.
All right. Hey, Kyle, thanks for joining us, man. More Cross Politic when we come back. If you need a little red meat in your diet, Pastor Doug Wilson.
The one thing needful, as C.S. Lewis once argued, is represented by a Middle English word, solemna, which expresses something which is desperately needed in our worship. On either side of this solemna, we have this error or that one. Either we are right out there on the cutting edge with worship teams, the thumping band, and all the rest of it, or we are content with our lazy afternoon orthodoxy. If the preacher were ever to whack the congregation with one of those things you use for cleaning rugs, the cloud of dust would look like it had been raised by Jehu's chariot.
To enjoy more red meat of this kind, check out the podcast on iTunes, or for more blogging of this particular nature, blog and Mayblog at DougWills.com. Kind of sticks in your teeth, don't it?
After all that, you played that one? You were messing around with different ones. I was kind of getting excited.
Yeah, but now I really threw you off, didn't I?
Man, if you haven't joined the club after that Babylon Bee interview, come on now.
Welcome back to Cross Politic, where the music is the same as has been for a long time.
Okay. I see what we're doing.
On the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
Are you gone?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Cross Politic. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to our club members.
Oh.
Hopefully you're sitting there
enjoying your pint
on your back porch, drinking something what? Is this vodka?
It's just water. It's just water.
I hope this is vodka. This is water. Wow, yeah, that was a great conversation with Kyle. Yeah. I'm really grateful for those guys at Babylon B. And I'm praying really that a lot of Christians see that, don't take the victim card.
Yeah. That's right.
Facebook's algorithms got me down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I know they got algorithms, and I know you got to figure it out. But, if Babylon B can make it, you can make it.
Yeah.
Do your business to the glory of God. Win.
Yeah.
Right? Build something.
Beat the onion.
Beat the onion.
Yep.
One of those too is
we're trying to beat
have
Fox.
some joy.
Yeah.
Boom.
Have some joy.
Yeah. You gotta. Little small faithfulness, faithful in the little things.
Yeah.
And lots of joy.
Yeah.
Laugh while you do it.
Yeah.
Laugh while you grind.
That
it.
messes people up.
Yeah.
That really does.
Because you know that nothing you do in the light of the resurrection, nothing you do is in vain.
Right.
1 Corinthians 15. Right? Therefore, because of the resurrection.
Yeah.
Right? Don't grow weary in doing good.
Yeah.
Everything you do matters. He's establishing your work. It's seed going in the ground. It's going to be fruitful.
That's right.
And loving God and loving your neighbor is not troublesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having
children, changing diapers, teaching them to love Jesus.
Your kids if you have children.
Start a business, start a school, be faithful in your church, love your neighbor, run for office, whatever it is that God calls you to do with joy in your heart. Okay.
So PragerU, you guys know PragerU.
Oh, yeah.
They're in a lawsuit with YouTube right now.
Also doing business.
Also
good
doing
work.
business. They went to a park this last week to get signatures to combat killing baby eagle eggs.
Yeah, baby eagles.
Yeah. And here's what happened.
Best of luck. I hope you save the eagles.
Thank you so much. And let me just talk to you real quick. We have one other petition about stopping the killing of humans too.
Oh my god.
Like babies. Stop the killing of babies.
I hate killing of babies.
Right? Like you hate abortion? We want to protect their rights too, even though being like unborn.
Wait,
so I if you would want to.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No, I'm pro-abortion. Sorry.
Ooh.
What's wrong with you people? What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Oh, so yeah, talk about camels and gnats.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, the baby. I hope you save the baby eagles. Oh, I'm pro-abortion.
Yeah.
That's right.
What about the baby babies? What about the baby human beings?
I'm not going to lie. These are starting to get old to me.
Yeah, right.
These really are. We talked about this 2 years ago, and we even talked about it with Kyle. They're swallowing the reductio, and they're fine with it, which makes me feel a lot more concerned for them because it's telling me they have no ability to really reason.
No.
Right?
No.
Their reason ability is just completely shattered.
No, this is just pure emoting.
That's right.
It's just emotions, and it's rivalries, and I think this reduces really to gang violence.
That's exactly right.
I mean, so just for example, another example of gnats and camels and the insanity we live in. San Francisco this last week branded the NRA, the National Rifle Association, as a domestic terrorist organization.
It's just insane.
How do they reason that?
They like guns.
Their city board voted on this.
They support guns, Chocolate Knox.
Yep.
That means they're terrorists. Mm-hmm. It also means that they're white supremacists and they're racists,
bigots,
and they're
homophobes.
Fascists. And
I have my concerns about the NRA, but I would never label those tags on them.
Okay, hold that. Okay,
I got
hold
it.
that. Ready? Okay, here's another one that's really fun.
NRA,
okay. AOC.
Oh no. Thanks.
and her squad. What are their names?
The squad. Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
We Are Legion. Is that what they
Rashida Tlaib. I can never remember the fourth one, but I can remember
Thanos. They tweeted out this last week links to raise bail money for Antifa thugs who are in jail.
That was in the New York, was it, or the Boston?
This was in Boston.
Okay,
so in Boston there was this
straight pride
parade.
I think you said that wrong.
Straight pride parade.
No, it's gay pride.
Are you done?
Comedy's always in threes.
Straight pride parade.
Oh, are you serious?
So Antifa
shows up,
and gets in a fight with cops, gets arrested.
Wait, were the cops the one doing the parade?
No.
Oh, okay.
The cops are just there to keep the peace.
Okay.
Like what cops do.
The Straight Pride Parade had
You
permit.
peacekeepers,
Yeah,
we're going to come after you.
It was a legal, public, straight pride parade.
Yep.
And Antifa comes out, attacks cops, and they gets arrested because that's what happens if you attack cops.
Yeah, that's kind of
right.
Yeah.
And AOC and the Legion are raising money to help bail those patriots out.
Wow. Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. So
that's not surprising, though.
Hold these things together.
Okay.
So San Francisco says that NRA is a domestic terrorist organization
and racist and blah blah blah.
And AOC, well, by extension.
Yeah.
And AOC is raising money to supporting Antifa thugs.
Right.
To bail them out because they're the real patriots.
Right.
Now, Antifa stands, it's short for anti-fascist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because they're against fascism.
They're against fascism.
Obviously.
But this is the thing. So there's a history of this. It's not a movement. I mean, I'm just going to quote Tabiti here. It's not a movement.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It ain't good for him right now.
It's not a movement.
But it is.
But there's a bunch of sort of local charter organizations
that are come together and gathered
clubs.
under one idea.
I don't know. One of the biggest ones is Rose City, Antifa,
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, because they
6 or 8 hours away, something like that.
Yeah, just over here on the coast.
Yep.
But it actually, this whole the name Antifa, it rose out of resistant movements in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
During the real rise of fascism in Italy and Nazism in Germany, which is all basically the same thing, by the way. Fascism and Nazism, basically the same thing.
Yeah, right.
Different nationalistic
Right.
spins.
Yeah.
Okay. And basically the same as communism.
Stuff, yeah.
All basically the
Socialism.
same. It's all basically the same.
Nazi isn't Nazi like National Socialist or something like that? That's what it stands for.
So, but when you have, it's basically a group though that's willing primarily to use physical force and violence.
Yeah.
In response to what they see as physical force and violence. And
so in Germany,
not even that though.
They would
not
be
even,
violent in
well,
Germany.
I mean,
are you saying they'd be violent in
like
Germany,
you're talking,
and
wait,
Italy?
Yeah,
even,
in response. So you got Nazis.
You're talking about then at that time.
So starting then, you got Nazis coming in and rounding up Jews and taking them off and gassing them, right?
It was a form of defense.
And you got the same thing going on in Mussolini's Italy. Using violence and coercion. And they really were oppressing Jews and other people.
True fascism.
And being wicked. Absolutely wicked. Well, in response, understandably, you've got these various underground movements to use force and violence as necessary to stand against them.
The idea was to defend yourself. Ultimately, that was their idea.
But the concern I have is, and this is just an open question. I don't even know for sure, but it doesn't look to me like most of those cell groups are grounded in biblical principles.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think this is more. There might have been some, like, I don't know, was Bonhoeffer, who was part of a plot to assassinate Hitler? Would that have been considered Antifa in those days?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
But I think for the most part, a lot of them were understandable defensive moves, but primarily grounded on more humanistic or anarchic, reactionary principles.
Yeah.
Anyways, it comes over to America post World War II in the civil rights movement.
Fascism?
Anti-fascism. Well, yes. 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 But you have, actually.
We had it in the 40s.
Liberal fascism, read it. Jonah Goldberg. We've said it like 100 times on the show. That's not our book plug, by the way. But yeah, it's in the air.
Yeah.
But especially in the civil rights movement, you have the same impulse coming over. And you got the KKK, for example, firebombing black churches.
Right.
And Jim Crow and all this stuff going on, and people really being violent and wicked.
Yeah.
Real white supremacists.
Yeah, right.
And so in response, the human instinct is punch back.
Yeah.
And so you got certain people fighting back.
Well, I think in the civil rights movement, though, I wouldn't consider them anti-fascist at that point. Because
but some of them did.
I think what you have, though, is a merger of two different movements. You have the civil rights movement, and then you have, what's his name? Malcolm X, who was the other side of that, who both felt they were being pushed against, and they pushed back differently.
Right, exactly.
Martin Luther King.
No, that's true. That's true.
I think there's two different movements coming out of that.
So Antifa is always has this strain. May not be universal, but it's a strain of we will use force and violence to get our way. And so you have Malcolm X, and then in the 80s you have you actually had a rise of white supremacy. In addition, outside of KKK.
Yeah. Nice. Got to sample that sometime.
Look at that. Yeah. But you got neo-Nazis and skinhead movements in the 80s. Yep. And so, and they were sometimes violent.
Yeah.
And so in response, you got Antifa coming back at him, saying we're going to use force and violence to protect ourselves and defend ourselves.
Yeah.
Or wouldn't you like even on the gang side of things? I mean, that's kind of that's violent, and Bloods and the Crips and
that's just not how they.
But I think that was just more local turf.
No, actually, it was defensive. It was protection. It was neighborhood protection,
but less ideological.
Not necessarily. It was attached to some of the stuff that was happening in the culture.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, Antifa gets in the news in 2017 at the Charlottesville.
And they had been busy way before that.
Oh, yeah.
They were on college campuses making a name for themselves.
So this is all
Antifa
rising.
was on college campus?
Yes.
What college
Dude,
campus?
Milo and Ben Shapiro were constantly a target of Antifa.
Yeah, UC Berkeley and Antifa was anyways.
It's all growing. It's all growing. And again, all of this goes back to as a culture abandons the gospel solutions to conflict and hurt and violence and real wrongs and justice. A culture descends into gang wars,
into anarchy and violence and
into
gang
mobs.
wars. Yeah,
and so you remember there was a move to pull down a Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. Right. There was a march that was organized to protest that being pulled down.
And again, that was a legal protest. So they got their permits for it in Charlottesville.
Antifa shows up. It gets violent.
Yeah.
Someone died.
And there was eventually there was a car that was driven into a pile of people. And someone died. And then most recently though, we've had this violence erupting in Boston at the Straight Pride Parade.
Yeah.
And then in Portland, we also just had a big deal. There was a protest there. The Patriot
Prayer, I think.
Patriot Prayer thing is what they're called.
I'll make sure.
But it's like, I don't know, sort of some kind of like celebrating America.
Open air preachers who are basically standing ultimately against Antifa was basically what they were doing. They were trying to show that these guys were violent and weren't peaceful.
Right. This is my question. Like, are these protests like Straight Pride and Patriot Prayer, like, are they on our team?
I want to separate those two. Yes, Patriot Prayer.
Yeah. Are they on our team?
I don't think the people who are doing the Straight Pride are.
Okay.
But they're kind of possibly co-belligerents.
Okay.
They're basically trolling. They're
trolling the gay pride.
Yeah, the gay pride.
Right.
And so if you look at their page, they're basically using the exact same language but talking about it straight. And it's all inside of the critical theory idea, which is that the way you get power now is be a minority group or an underrepresented
or
group.
A victim group or whatever.
And so they're basically saying, hey, straight people are victimized because we don't have a voice for us. And so but I think those guys, they wouldn't consider themselves trolling. I think they kind of take themselves serious, but they're playing around.
So watch what's happened here.
Yeah.
Watch what's happened here. So it's one thing to say, look back at fascism in Italy or Germany and say, okay, how do you respond to that?
Yeah.
And maybe trying to infuse biblical principles of just resistance.
Put some accountability around
That's
it.
one thing. But now we have massive problems because the definitions of racism and white supremacy and fascism have basically been defined as whatever Trump's doing.
Yeah, basically, I'm a white supremacist.
Wait, you mean me?
Both of us. That's how they're defining it now. That's part of the problem. The way they're defining, and they're doing this thing that I think Vody talked about this. But he talks about the three ways they convert. Is they
jam?
The first one is sympathy. The second one is they jam you, then they convert you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Antifa is kind of in the jamming process right now. They're saying we hate white supremacy. We hate white nationalists who are trying to promote KKK.
But what's been infused into that definition is basically whatever CNN says is white supremacy.
Well, what's been infused to it is all the Christian ideas, right? So
what Christian ideas?
So what they've infused inside the idea of what fascism is, what white supremacy is heterosexual marriage. Is
whatever the Bible says.
It's all the things that we believe as Christians. And so they're identifying all those things now as white supremacy, white nationalism, anti-people.
So when Sister Theology, graduate of Westminster Seminary,
stop bringing her up on the
Philadelphia, when she decries the Amazon forest fires as environmental racism.
Yeah, right.
You have to understand that if you believe in biblical marriage and are pro-life and want to have a lot of kids and you want to baptize them, you're a racist and you're a white supremacist. Yep. You're causing the Amazon forest fires.
That's right.
You wicked terrorist. Right. And that's how NRA gets I think ultimately gets identified as a terrorist organization.
You know, one of the biggest problems, I think Tom Maskell, who is one of the authors of the social justice statement, said this: the reason I hate social justice movement is because it gets in the way and blurs the line of what real justice looks like. Right. And what this is doing is it's when Sister Theology, she should know better than this. To call environmental racism makes light of the thing. There is real racism out there. Right. There are real issues out there, and because the Amazon is burning, that's not racism.
But what you need to see, connect these dots. So what Tom Askell and those guys are going after is social justice. Yeah. And saying, look, there's a movement here, and you say, no, there's no movement. There's no. No. Look, it's connected directly to the same people who are identifying NRA as a terrorist organization. Yeah. Right. Sister Theology is pushing the same ideology that AOC. It's muted. It's got Bible verses on it. Yeah. It's whatever. But Antifa is basically though the violent arm of that same movement that's redefined justice. That's redefined racism. That's redefined it all, and it's redefined it basically though according to whatever is not biblical.
So Antifa would say they would be the correctional arm of the liberal movement.
That's
They're like
why
their police.
AOC sees them as patriots.
Yeah, that's right.
And unofficial. We're not condoning the violence. Yeah. But when they use a baseball bat against somebody who's wearing a Trump supporter hat.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's okay.
That's
okay
the excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, their hatred is causing violence. I mean, we watched that video.
Yeah.
Trump's killed more than
Stalin and Mussolini. Yeah.
On what planet?
What really bothers me about in my heart, I've watched a lot of Antifa stuff. My heart really does go out to these guys because I think what Antifa actually is what the Gothic movement was back in the day. I think it's an evolution of that.
That's interesting. That's an interesting theory.
When you look at them, what you start seeing is fatherless children, children who haven't been loved on, and they're trying to figure out now how to get power, how to get make sense of the world, even
looking for identity,
absolutely
looking for meaning.
Everything that you lose in having a dad is what they're trying to get in what they do. Yeah. And what's really interesting, there was a guy inside of the Antifa movement who was really trying to break up a fight. He didn't want to hurt anybody. And one of the guys who was conservative on the issue, his wife pulled out a gun and shot him.
Shot the Antifa
guy.
Okay.
And it was amazing hearing his story because he's telling
where'd this happen?
I believe it was. I can't remember where it was.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, I can't remember where it was.
That's right.
But he's telling. It might have been in Portland.
Yeah.
But he's telling the prosecutor, I don't want them tried, and I'm not going to press charges because I don't think the judicial system is actually a way to get justice, and we have too many people in prisons. What I want to do is I want to actually reconcile with them face to face.
Wow.
And let's work it out that way. And I heard that, and I'm like, okay,
who's in?
Right. I don't think all of them are like this now, but I think that there's a faction that's there that are like that, and that we can get to, and actually,
and on the flip side, of course, that's why I asked the question: Are these protests the Patriot Prayer and are they on our team?
I think those guys are.
Yeah. The Patriot Prayer guys.
Patriot Prayer guys are.
But the thing to note, because in the news, it's all painted as white supremacy and racism.
Yeah.
Right.
White nationalists or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is that there really are some skinheads and neo-Nazis and white supremacists in some of those marches and protests.
Yeah, that's right.
Who want Robert E. Lee statues up because they actually think
they're racist.
Because they're racists, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other people in the mix here who are saying, no, we just understand that this country was founded in Christian principles. There's a lot of sin here. But nevertheless, God's blessed us immensely. We believe in Christian marriage. Yeah, we believe that one man should marry one woman, have a pile of kids, raise them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, tell the truth, work hard.
But the reason I don't like this narrative is because that always seems to be the loudest thing that comes from the Antifa movement. They're white nationalists over there. And I think that they're right. In some senses, there are. But are you pro-life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
do you care about how many black babies are dying every day in your state?
That's right.
You have a number count over here that's far higher than any white nationalist over here.
Even done.
So I don't think that I think that narrative has been played so loud that it's easy for us. Like, we don't like that. And we know we have a trigger for that.
Right.
And we become numb to the idea of life in the womb. And we don't say, but these guys are killing millions of babies, or support the people who kill millions of babies.
Right.
Even in this group, the guys who are leading it, like Patriot Prayer, those guys are not white nationalists.
Right.
But white nationalists might be a part of them. And so what they're saying, you sympathize with white nationalists.
Right.
Well, who are you sympathizing with?
Right.
Well, I want to say, I think what
Sanders,
is the most wicked aspect about this whole definitional game that's going on, they're saying, anybody who wears a MAGA hat's racist. But what they're actually doing with the definition is they're actually they are the definition.
They're buying critical theory.
They're buying critical theory, but they are the racist.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you point to things like abortion when you're killing, when you have no problem with abortion, you're the racist.
Well, when you're forcing somebody,
when you're Breadline Bernie talking about population control, you're the racist.
Yeah, killing the black and brown babies in third world countries.
That is what racism is.
Right. When Imago Dei has been diminished to the point where you feel like the only way to communicate with this group of people is to push violence on them.
Baseball bat.
That's what Antifa is saying. They have said, this is their words. We feel like the only thing these people understand on this side is violence. And so we're not trying to kill them, but we want them to be pushed back.
We're going to punch back.
And so we have to punch them, hit them to drive them out. Because they think they're animals.
Yeah.
And they're not. They don't think they can be reasoned with.
Right. And this is what happens when you abandon the word of God.
That's right.
The standards of God allow us to make the careful distinctions that actually need to be made.
That's right.
Real justice, equal weights and measures, recognizing that every human being is made in the image of God.
Yeah.
That the blood of Christ cleanses us from all sin, makes us new, makes us men and women, and then calls us into families.
Yeah.
And this is our book review. This is our book recommendation for you. You say, what do I do? What you need to do is go buy this book now.
That's right.
Okay?
Go do it.
The Household
Amazon.
and the War for the Cosmos by C.R. Wiley. It's a short read. You can read it in one afternoon, and then you can read it again the next day, which is you probably need to do. Also recommend his book, Man of the House.
Yes.
But this one is
buy both of them.
Solid. Yeah. Household and the War for the Cosmos will mess with your head in the right way, and it calls you into the war. But it calls you into the war with understanding.
Yes.
Like, this is not about just sticks and stones and little skirmishes in the streets.
Yeah.
No, make a difference by actually getting in tune with the way God made the whole universe.
That's right. Come on now.
And this has to do with finding your identity in the image of God, finding your identity in Christ as a man, as a woman, then getting married, seeing marriage as warfare.
That's right.
Having babies, they're arrows.
That's right.
And one of the great connections that he makes, I'll stop here.
Okay.
Is in Ephesians 5. It's all about the family, getting married, the gospel in marriage, the way the man loves his wife sacrificially, the way a woman submits to her husband as the church does to Christ in all things, the way that children obey their parents and the way that parents raise their children up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, the way even servants submit to masters and masters lead and direct their servants. And again, think about this in all the ways in your business dealings and the way you work in the public square. And then what does he say? Finally, put on the full armor of God that you may be able to stand in that day, that you may be able to fight against the principalities and powers in dark places. Right?
Amen.
The thing that he points out that's so glorious and wonderful and true is when you say, what do I do? What can I do against Antifa? What can I do against these fussy cranks that are running for the Democratic election? What can I do? What you can do is love your wife.
Yep.
Right? Make her more like Jesus.
Yeah.
Teach her, wash her in the word.
Yes.
Amen. Submit to your husband, respect him, speak highly of him, follow his lead. Children, obey your parents. You want to get on the fight?
You want to change the world?
Yeah. Obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And notice what Paul says. For this is the first commandment with the promise. All you Baptists, you got a problem with this verse. I'm just going to say it right now. Okay? Because Paul says the promise of the land applies to Gentile kids. Figure that out. Right? Figure that out.
Where's that covenant connection coming from?
It's because Jesus owns the whole world.
That's
right.
Yeah. You're done? I was waiting for you to close it out. I'll just say one last thing because that was good. I actually don't need to tell him into that. I just want to say this though. There is something amazing and supernatural in the common means of obedience.
This is the little obedience.
It's amazing that changing a diaper can change the world.
Kyle was praying every day, right?
Come on.
Make me faithful in this.
Yeah, that's
Make me faithful in this. Laugh in this. Read a story to your 2-year-old.
I told my wife, I said, I wish we would have known this before we got married.
Yeah.
Because what we would have done with our marriage would have been completely different, understanding that this is how the cosmos has changed.
From the beginning.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's I love what he says in the book. There's so many good things to say about this book, so I hope you've already bought it. But I love what he says, that when a family that is submitted to the lordship of Jesus Christ, they are a reflection of his authority from heaven on earth.
Yes.
And that is powerful.
And this is why, this is the only thing that really explains the complete liberal freak out.
That's right.
Of a woman who says, I want to be a wife and a mom.
And submit to my husband.
Yeah. And I want to make dinner.
Yeah.
And I want to have lots of kids.
Yeah.
Right? And the liberals shriek.
Yeah.
Why? Because I think they know that right there is the center.
They've lost the battle
of
right
the
there.
Cultural.
Yep.
That's the victory.
Right there.
That's
We're
the
going to
victory.
do another 15 minutes because that's the thing. They want your home. Because guess what? They can't produce offspring. That's what they can't do. That's why they want your kids.
They can't produce offspring, and bigger than that, they can't produce good fruit.
All
around.
It's all fruitless.
That's right.
It's completely barren and impotent.
And that's why you don't give your kids to government schools. Because they are your arrows.
Yes.
Those are the weapons. That's the way God changed the world. All right, that's enough of that. Get the book. I hope you get it.
That's great.
This is the hope, though. God, because Jesus died and rose again, and is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, he says all authority in heaven and earth belongs to him. Therefore, go. He bought every nation with his blood. It all belongs to him, and he is in the process of giving it to his people.
Come on now.
I need to hear that again and again.
He's in the process of giving
Amen.
it to us.
Yes.
As we trust in him, as we obey and honor our parents, he will bless us and he will give us the land, a long life in the land.
I just say this again. This is what's so amazing about the book. He talks about this in the marriage.
Yeah.
This is the mystery, right? So whatever your husband has, you have. You guys are inseparable.
Yeah.
The church is married to Christ. What does Christ have? The whole world.
Yeah, whole world. So you got the whole world.
Amen.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. I
think we offended everybody.
Pretty much. That's okay. I'm
You're
fine with
welcome.
That. You can have more of that on Wednesday.
I have another one of these.
Make sure Kamala Harris is watching.
Yeah, Kamala watches.
We got some plastic straws back there.